Hey trainers, welcome back. You're with Pewter City Gym, and we're here for another Solar Region update. On a related note, the first one of these went live a year ago, December 1st, 2021. We got to meet Rotopon, and it's been working hard to help introduce its Solar Region friends for the past year. Well, last month notwithstanding. I want to thank everyone who's been watching along since then. I really do appreciate each and every single view and viewer. Thank you so much. So far, we have Rotopon, Pinkalese, Nopalese, Agravelese, Flamba, Kidling, Combustilope, Ensurf, Gangully, Albatroxen, Yumbug, Chupa, Yuckaby, Larvair, Princelis, Point Sovereign in both male and female forms, Badaboom, Badazoom, Pipip, Ariole, Sorprano, Pomeranian, Achiao, Vigilum, Solarian Poliwag, Solarian Poliwhirl and Poliwrath, as well as Solarian Politoad, Solarian Serpentrack, Solarian Serpentrail, Palletgeist, and Pakage. Whew! Maybe when we're done I'll try forming these into a Poke Rap.
We gotta rap some Pokemon!
Probably not. Anyway, hey, if you enjoy Fakemon and Pokemon content, I'd really love it if you could like and subscribe. I post new Fakemon videos every month and a lot of Let's Play content, so if that sounds like your jam, please, you are welcome here. So now that we're in December, it's time to make a holiday-themed Mon, right? Pokemon has a couple of them, and especially in Pokemon GO, the holidays have become a much bigger deal for the franchise. Still, I wouldn't want to make anything that's super overtly tied to one single holiday. More like something that's just tied to the general festive vibe of the season. That way, more folks can enjoy it, in theory. The monster I'm creating would be found around Route 2 and the area around the second town, which is based on Solvang. Literally one of my favorite places in the world. Solvang has a Christmas village that opens up every year during the holidays, so it's a good place to have a holiday mon associated with it. Again, Sola isn't a one-to-one recreation of the real world, so we can just be vague about the exact holiday. Solvang also has a Hans Christian Andersen museum. He's the author of The Little Mermaid, Thumbelina, and The Emperor's New Clothes. So tying in a fairy tale aspect to this monster is a must. Holidays and fairy tales. What about a cookie monster? No, not that one. Look, I know food-based Pokemon get a pretty bad rap. A lot of people hate on poor little Vanillite, for example, but I think it can be done well. The main inspiration here will be the humble Gingerbread Man. This isn't a Danish fairy tale, let alone one from Hans Christian Andersen, but we're gonna circle back to take a look at some of his contributions in a later video. For those who don't know the story and mostly just think of him as a Shrek character, let's have a little recap of the lore behind this cookie. Before we start, special thanks to Cidal from Lewiside for helping with the voices and letting some friends from his many and varied universes pop over to enjoy the show. And thanks to Misty too for providing the voice of our Gingerbread protagonist. Now, let's begin.
Once upon a time, an old woman who never had kids of her own decided to bake a gingerbread boy. Once he was out of the oven, he came alive. Oh really? Just like that? Oh, fair enough. Because he was a cookie though, not cookie dough, he wasn't like an ice cream, he decided to run away from his creator, in case he would have been eaten. It's not normal to eat your own son, but if your son's been out of gingerbread, you'd probably bite on something, wouldn't you? Whilst he was trying to escape, he managed to get past her husband as well. She has a husband, oh, fair enough, go her. They both soon gave chase. Whilst running, he made his way to some farm workers and yelled,
I ran away from a little old woman and a little old man, and I can run away from you, I can.
Oh, that's the original verse from the 1875 version. It's sometimes shortened to, run, run as fast as you can't catch me, I'm the Gingerbread Man.
Hey, be quiet!
Oh, sorry.
Eventually, he made his way past a bunch of farm animals, like a duck, cows, pigs, chickens, all while adding to his gingerbread legend.
I've run away from a little old woman, a little old man, farm workers, ducks, cows, pigs, chickens, and I can run away from you, I can.
Near the end of his adventure, he gets to a river, and he can't quite figure out a way to cross. Well, until he meets a fox, who promises to give him a ride. What a nice guy! Absolutely nothing bad can happen out of this. It's always the friendly fox in these child stories. There's no such thing as the cunning or evil fox or anything, is there? What do I know? Oh, and would you believe it? The fox swims out to the middle of the river and eats the poor ginger kid piece by piece, causing him to cry. I mean, I feel like it's forgiven, isn't it? Do gingerbread even have tear ducts?
I'm a quarter gone. I'm a half gone. I'm 3/4 gone. I'm all gone.
And no one lived happily ever after, except for maybe the fox. Wait, was that the story? Was that it? So, So this is a story what teaches kids how to identify like 4 different animals and like the most basic concept of fractions. Well, I mean, personally, I learned that gingerbread might have tear ducts. But I guess it also teaches that you can, if you're hungry enough, you can lie and face no consequences. Pretty sure you can also get away with murder doing that way, maybe? No, I don't get paid enough for this. I'll just leave it there. Oh wait, is this mic still recording? The end.
Huh? What? What? Is the movie over yet?
Thanks again to Cidal and the crew. On the off chance you're not subbed to him, check out the link in the description and give him some love. He's one of the most fun Fakemon creators you're ever gonna find. I love his stuff. Thanks again, buddy. So now that we understand the lore behind the Gingerbread Man character, what about his appearance in the real world? Where did Gingerbread Men come from? Gingerbread has been around since the 16th century. Turning it into a little man can first be traced to Elizabeth I of England, or Elizabeth Tudor. She was holding a party with several noted guests, dignitaries, foreign royalty, that kind of thing, and she basically had the idea of making these gingerbread cookies in the shape of little men that looked like these guests. So they were decorated to look like people of note within high society at the time. That's the first time that we hear about gingerbread men in the historical record. The idea is often tied to the gingerbread house, like you would see in other fables like Hansel and Gretel. All in all, gingerbread has a feeling of whimsy to it. The idea that you can turn it into anything, decorate it up to look like anything, it just has that kind of magical quality that comes from creativity, and I really like that. So we have a couple of elements from the above story to work with. Oh, let's make a chart. Inanimate objects brought to life. He's food-based, runs fast, but is a little gullible and not very bright, probably delicious, can't swim, and likely hates foxes. Okay, with that in mind, let's get over to the lab and start designing. So, as with every cookie, gingerbread starts with dough. And that's kind of perfect because a little dough blob can look like pretty much anything, right? With features that look like they're made of frosting, powdered sugar, or even candy. I want this monster to be a fairy type. 3 stages and fill the role of Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, and Azurill. The thing with first stage fairies and 3-stage lines is that they're usually based on a pretty simple, recognizable shape. Cleffa is a star, Igglybuff is a circle, Togepi is a trapezoid. No, okay, it's an oval. Azurill is a little more complex as the main body is sort of a water drop shape, but it has that big tail that makes it look almost like a figure 8. Flabebe is also a little complex if you look at the flower, but without it, the shape is like a figure 8 as well, maybe just a wrapped candy, or maybe a little like Stewie Griffin. So, what simple shape to base our fairy on? The first stage I was initially going to shape like a pentagon, the idea being it's a 5-pointed, non-star shaped shape. Gingerbread men have a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs, so 5 appendages. It seemed to track, but all my sketches sort of looked like, sea creatures in a way, so back to the drawing board. It's gonna start life instead as a roundish blob of dough. I'm gonna go with a little bean shape. Oh, little bean. Another member of the Roundaboy baby group, I guess. We've got some accents that look kind of like confectionery. A swirly bang that's sort of like a cinnamon roll. Despite being called gingerbread, cinnamon is a key ingredient in this cookie after all. It also resembles a cross-section of a Yule log dessert. It's got a little chocolate smoosh all over its lower half, though this could also represent a cookie being dunked into your coffee. You decide which one you'd prefer. The base color is going to be an orange color because the word ginger is often associated with the color orange for some reason. Ginger itself is beige on the outside, white inside, and light brown when it's dried and turned into a powder, so the association with orange only makes sense when you figure that ginger is spicy, and spicy has an association with heat, which we in turn associate with fire, which is orange. Phew. And, well, fire is a good type to add here for a couple of reasons. First of all, the aforementioned spiciness definitely fits with a fire type. How many fire/grass pepper Fakemon have you seen? There's a fair few. And I'm not complaining, as many of them have really neat designs, but there are other spicy plants out there, ginger root being one of them. Also, you bake cookies in hot ovens, so you need some serious heat. The final reason being, well, this kid can't swim. He's weak to water, so fire type. And here we have Doughboy, the dough Pokemon. This sweet-natured Pokemon was first discovered in and around bakeries. It has a gentle spiced aroma that is sweet and will make most people, and Pokemon, hungry. Before anyone can take a bite though, it moves away quickly. Here are your base stats and moves. You can see that for a baby Pokemon, it's actually pretty fast. It's not beating Jolteon in a foot race anytime soon, but it's going to outpace quite a few early level Pokemon we've met in Sola so far. Not a lot of moves yet, but baby Pokemon aren't known for picking up a lot of moves early on, right? How does it move so fast when it's shaped like a bean? Fairy magic. That's all. The name? Pretty self-explanatory. Doe and Boy. Think of the similar fairy types we've already referenced. Cleffa, Clefairy, Clefable. Igglybuff, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff. The names are simple variations on one another with a central sound linking them all. I'm going to do something similar with mine, and they're going to be fairly self-explanatory. For the next form, we can see a more personish shape start to take form. Separate arms, legs, and head. With the fairy types I've mentioned already, there isn't a huge change in appearance. This isn't Magikarp to Gyarados or anything. It's a stretching of proportions more than a large shift in features. Colors stay roughly the same, but I wanted to give the pose a sense of speed and fun. He's an impish little fellow, so I wanted him to come off as a bit cocky and mischievous. As I mentioned in my video on Flambard, speedy characters seem to always have this air of cockiness to them, which is so much fun to draw. He is, indeed, kind of a cartoon gingerbread man. That's what I wanted this Pokemon to look like, so that's what it looks like. I was initially concerned that this would seem creatively bereft. To bring up Vanillite again, it's often used as the postermon for Game Freak has run out of ideas, and so I was a bit concerned that the same could be said about these gingerbread-inspired monsters. Hopefully the additional lore and explanation goes some way towards pointing out that that isn't the case. And here we have Dobake, the gingerbread Pokemon. There is an intense rivalry between Dobake and Vulpix as they compete for Firestones. This dislike seems to be mutual and instinctive. Even Dobake raised in other regions away from Vulpix developed an immediate on-site dislike of them. Here are your base stats and learned moves. It's picking up some more fire-type attacks and expanding options for offense and defense. For our final form, we're looking at a leaner, meaner Cookie. This Pokemon evolves using a Firestone, and we're going to incorporate that into the design, taking over those candy-looking buttons with some fiery-looking gems. Almost like the Firestone has become a part of this Pokemon's body instead of just passing along energy for evolution. That's the secret of its almost mage-like ability to wield and control both flame and fairy-type energies. It uses the stone as an arcane focus. This is actually a repurposed idea I had when coming up with a potato-based Fakemon for Infamous Trainer's Neos region Fakemon competition. Wow, last January, my gosh. I actually did win a spot in his region with my design. Initially, I submitted it as a split evolution, but the fire-type secondary design for the final stage didn't make the cut. Even still, I liked the idea of a Firestone used as a focus for a magical-looking Mon, so I'm going to use it here instead. I'll also put a link to Infamous Trainer's video in the description. I highly recommend it, and his whole channel in general. Anyway, you can see the limbs are longer now, allowing for even more speed. You might have noticed that between this guy, Combustilope, and Badazoom, we have a lot of speedy fire types in Sola, and yeah, there's a reason for that. Fires out here get completely out of control and burn up land really fast. It's just kind of a fact of life in Southern California where this region is based. I think fire, I think speed. I added a cape to the back that's supposed to look like swirling smoke. The fire it wields is so hot that its shoulders start to caramelize and produce this sheet of swirling, flowing heat and ash. That's what happens when you leave cookies in the oven too long, I guess. And here we have Doburn, the gingerbread Pokemon. Using a Firestone as an arcane focus allows this Pokemon to wield heat wildly. The heat is so intense, Doburn can barely handle it. The spicy sweet smell of its earlier evolutionary stages remains, but it is tinged with the scent of caramel. Here's your base stats and learned moves. Still pretty speedy and a great special attacker, but pretty frail. You know, because it's a cookie. For the abilities, we're going with Defeatist, because in the story, a big deal is made of the amount of the cookie that's been eaten. This drops all stats when the Pokemon is at half HP or less. We also have Emergency Exit for a similar reason, but this causes the Pokemon to run away when HP is knocked down to half or less. Terrible abilities, I know, and that's why you're going to want to farm for the hidden ability. Speed Boost. This raises the Pokemon's speed each turn. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the Gingerbread Man. Here are your shinies, looking pretty in pink to pay homage to those fairy types we were talking about earlier, and here is the egg. This Pokemon would be found in and around routes 2, 3, and the second time you come across, Amethystin. But it isn't the only new critter you'd meet. We have a few more region staples to get through, and that will be what we concentrate on for the next video. You've been with Pewter City Jim, and I'm looking forward to catching you in the next video. But until then, take care of yourselves, folks. Bye!